Now in this section I'm going to talk about static neighborship in Eigrp and compare it to what you see in RIP. Now if I go to enable mode, I go to configuration mode and I go to router configuration mode, that is router Eigrp 100 for my case. I can specify one neighbor here and I want to stop sending hello out data interface. Just add in the command neighbor and the name of the neighbor, that is now 10.0.12.2, and specifying the neighbor, the interface that you can reach the neighbor, that's going to be fast01. That will make your neighbor statically configured here. Now if I check the configuration, you can see that the neighbor is going down because static peer is configured, and after a while it may come up again because I accept hello packets still from the other side. Now let's check the show IP Eigrp neighbors first, and you can see that I do not have neighborship with the other side, and that's because I do not send any hello packet out this interface, so the other side does not know about me. But I know about that because I have configured it statically. So let's go to router 2 and do the same configuration here. I go to router configuration first, router Eigrp 100, and then specify this neighbor 10.0.12.1 is reachable through fast01. So I hit enter, and after a while you can see that I am creating the neighborship. So you can see the adjacency is coming up on both routers, and now I know this. So what happens when you specify neighbor statically? That interface is not going to send any multicast out, and this is on the contrary to the RIP, because in RIP whenever you add a neighbor command, you just tell that such a neighbor is accessible through this interface. In RIP we do not create any active neighborship with the other routers, but whenever you do this, you still have the broadcast in version 1 or multicast in version 2 of RIP, and they are sent out that interface. But here on Eigrp you do not have this. In RIP, if you want to disable that, you have to add the passive interface command. Here you do not have to do such thing. Here you just disable the multicast hellos and everything using just this piece of command here. Now you need to add this command to the both sides to create the neighborship, and this doesn't work in one way, and that's it. If I want to check the neighbors now to show IP Eigrp neighbors, I can see that this neighbor is created, and of course using this command I cannot tell that this is a static or dynamic neighbor, and I will not know about this. But if I try to see neighbors in detail, I can see that there is a static neighbor configured here, and that's gonna be the 10.0.12.1 neighbor. So here I know about this static neighbor by checking the detail neighbor information, but without any detail I do not know about the neighborship here. The next thing I want to talk about is metric calculation in Eigrp, and you know that using the show IP protocol, that only bandwidth that is gonna be K1 and the delay that is gonna be K3 are used to calculate the bandwidth, because these are the values that are 1 here. And you can change this behavior. If you want to change this behavior, you can go to router configuration and add this command metric, and now you can add weights here. Metric weights lets you to change the everything, change everything about K values. You know that the type of service is only 0. It specifies here that only TOS of 0 is supported, so you have to enter 0 for the first thing. And the second one is K1 bandwidth. If you want to have bandwidth in effect, you can type in 1. If you want to remove it from the calculation, you can type in 0. If you want to give much more priority to bandwidth, you can add a much more value, for example up to 255, and the bandwidth will be the most prominent thing in your configuration. The next thing that you have here is K2, that is load. I do not want to have load in my configuration, so I type in 0. The next thing, K3, is delay. So you know that by default delay is used for calculating the metric. So I can type in 1, but if I do not want to add delay to my configuration, I can type in 0. For example, I want to have one route that has a long delay but still works perfectly to my calculation. So I add 0 here so that I won't need to add delay to my configuration. So let's go to the next one, that is gonna be reliability. K4, I want it to be 0. I do not want to add reliability, and reliability is calculated on a time range basis. So you cannot tell that a line is reliable at one time and reliable at another time, so the calculation is going to be a lot CPU intensive and very hard. I do not want to have this. And the last thing is K5, and that's going to be the MTU, or maximum transmission unit. I don't want to have this in effect again, so I type in 0. So the only value that I'm going to add here is bandwidth. So with adding metric weights 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, I tell the Eigrp process to use only bandwidth for calculation. So let's see if there's anything else. No, there is nothing else. And by entering this command, you can see that the whole Eigrp neighbors are going down because we do not agree on the k values. So if you want to have neighborship on again, you can see that the k value mismatch is shown here, as is logged on your screen, and tells you that your k value is not the same as the others k values. So if you want to have neighborship between routers, you have to have the same k values. You have to agree on the k values between all routers so that you can have the neighborship there. So I come back. I do not want to add such command to all routers. I just wanted to show you that neighborship is affected by the k values, and now you can see that the k value mismatch is gone and every neighbor is coming up after a while. This is the new adjacency logs that you can see here. Now in next section I'm going to talk about Eigrp router ID and effect of that on receiving and sending the routes.